All right, y'all. New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Let's take a look at a more traditional poem in this first video. Notice, once again, I put the link for the actual text of the poem right here so you can follow along with me. You guys should know I have already set up some of my analysis for this poem just to speed up this video a bit, but in each of these videos I will read these aloud too. One thing that the title gives us in this particular document is that this sonnet is inscribed at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. It wasn't always there. It was written in modern times and added to the Statue of Liberty, but this is the New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. So as we analyze this poem, as a reminder, there are two things we're going to look for. One thing is to figure out its message, its theme, what we're supposed to learn from this poem. The other thing we're going to look for is how Emma Lazarus develops that theme. Now, before I go into my analysis document, one thing I might recommend is that you count the lines on this poem. If we count this, we notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 lines in poetry is a red flag that tells you we're dealing with a sonnet here. So one of the things we'll look at here is sonnet structure and how that is important in the theme for this poem. If you happen to be analyzing a traditional poem and it happens to be a sonnet, I can almost guarantee you that the sonnet structure, things like how its stanzas are divided up, how its rhythm or how its meter works, how its rhyme works, matters immensely for its theme. We'll take a look at that in just a moment here. This might not be a bad time to pause this video and read it for yourself to see what you see, to see what sort of themes you see, but also to see what kinds of literary devices you'll see. Again, your literary devices document is inside of the poetry analyses folder. Feel free to open that up as you pause this video, just to see what you notice in this text. I'll go over my analysis in a moment here. There we go. Just like we did with our short story with Act of a Hero, I did a little bit of analysis already, but there's some things I'm going to fill in on this document too, for the sake of time. The first thing to notice whenever you're doing literary analysis is to see if you can identify the theme, meaning, or message of this work. I pulled two from the New Colossus. Again, good art usually has multiple interpretations. I see two routes that I could take if I were to write an essay about the New Colossus. One thing is just the classic idea that America is a land of opportunity. What makes America great, as we think about this describing the Statue of Liberty, is that it's a land of opportunity for those who need it. That's one thing we notice throughout the poem, is if I look back at it, right? Especially in the last half, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Notice the idea of freedom there. Send the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. That idea of gold, of prosperity, that America is a land a land of second chances. We see that throughout this poem. Another possible idea is that compassion, rather than strength, is America's greatest virtue. We might think of the United States as being a very mighty country, but according to this poem, what makes America great, what makes America strong, is not conquering, like it mentions about the brazen giant of Greek fame that we'll talk about here. What makes America mighty isn't necessarily military might, as it was with the Greeks. For us, it's the fact that we are the mother of exiles, that we show worldwide welcome, that we take other countries poor, that we take their huddled masses and give them opportunities. And it's not strength that makes America strong. It's not military might, but it's compassion, according to this poem. We'll take a look at that too. Now, the most important thing with literary analysis, once again, is the how. We see these ideas in the text, but how does Emma Lazarus bring them out? Now, I should note, I did a rather quick analysis of this poem. There's lots more going on than I spotted here, but I just wanted to pull out what I noticed at first glance here, and how I might piece these together to form a thesis. First thing to look at is sonnet structure. Now, there are two ways that sonnets are built. One is the Italian sonnet, like this one, Where there's an octet, there's an 8-line stanza. It usually goes ABBA, ABBA for rhyme scheme. Then there's the sextet. Sextets can be arranged in a couple of different ways, but in this 6-line stanza, it happens to be CDC, CDC, rhyme-wise. Every sonnet also has what's called a volta. Volta is the Italian for turn, or somewhere around line 8, 9, or 10. In every sonnet, there's a turn. There's some kind of dramatic shift, either in how the poem is written or in the poem's meaning, that is going to be relevant for our theme. Let's take a look at that first. So the octet, notice fame, land, stand, flame, ABBA, name, A, hand, command, frame, ABBA. So this is the octet right here. In these first 8 lines, notice that what we mostly get structurally in this poem is a description of these 2 statues. There's the brazen giant of Greek fame, that's the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. And then there's the other Colossus, the new Colossus, the Statue of Liberty, the mighty woman with a torch, right? So we largely get description in the first 8 lines right here, but then there is a dramatic turn at the volta. Notice that the sextet switches, it shifts, not into description, but words, speech. The new Colossus speaks. The Statue of Liberty speaks. So in the volta, in the sestet, we do get a major change from description to speech. That is going to be important for our theme as well. Let me jot that in. So octet is description of the statues. In the sextet, the Statue of Liberty speaks. The volta is line 9 specifically. Shift from description to speech. Now, have I explained how that ties into a theme just yet? Not quite, but I'm just doing some of my analysis to figure out how this poem works. Poetry and songs and artwork, as you look in them in today's videos, are like puzzles. You want to kind of find all the pieces, then see if you can arrange them to figure out the theme. Allusions. So we mentioned this a little bit. Early on, we get this allusion to the Colossus of Rhodes, the brazen giant of Greek fame. It's one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. At the time, it was the tallest statue, possibly the tallest monument on Earth. It was a giant statue to the Greek god Helios, god of the sun, that stood on the island of Rhodes. One thing to note is that the Colossus of Rhodes doesn't exist anymore. It was destroyed in the past. So notice that it says brazen giant of Greek fame, brazen giant of the past, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. It was actually, each of the feet of the Colossus of Rhodes was on a different island, and it just towered and looked out to the sea for other nations to see the might and the glory of the nation of Greece. Notice that that's contrasted with another allusion to the Statue of Liberty. Notice that the Statue of Liberty is never named by name in this poem. We have a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name is Mother of Exiles. We can infer that that's the Statue of Liberty, but we're never told directly. That's how the allusion works. Notice that those allusions are contrasted in this poem. There's 2 things going on with the diction of this poem. As a reminder, diction is word choice. Diction in poetry, diction in all analysis can range anywhere from looking for interesting words or unusual words. It could also describe systems of words as well, and there are 2 systems going on in this entire poem. One thing is a system of words regarding things like building and technology. Check this as we go through the poem, right? Here at our Seawash Sunset Gates, notice a building term right there, construction term. A mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is imprisoned lightning. Imprisoned lightning is a great euphemism for electricity. So notice that Emma Lazarus is pointing out the technological advances that the United States has, that maybe other nations don't. Notice the word glows as well, a light term right there. The air-bridged harbor. We got harbors, we got cities, construction term. Send these homeless tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp, technology term, beside the golden door. So that system of diction might exist, for instance, to suggest that America is a home for those who are homeless. We even see the word homeless in line 13 right there. So notice the terms that have to do with building, construction, and technology come to our nation. We've got doors, we've got gates, we've got cities, we've got electricity. Another system going on is a contrast between positive and negative words, light and dark in this poem, especially adjectives. But notice that there's a contrast between positive adjectives and negative ones, right? Conquering is treated as a negative in this poem, right? This idea of military might and power hungriness exists early on. Seawashed suggests weathering, suggests going through difficult times. But notice that the next word is sunset, so a transition from Sea-washed, maybe something not so positive, to sunset, something very positive. Mighty is positive. Imprisoned happens to be negative. Exiles, not the most positive thing in the world. Worldwide welcome and glows, positives. Mild eyes, positives. Now some negatives in the volta, right? Notice that there's a big change there. Tired, poor, huddled, yearning. Wretched refuse. Refuse is garbage. Wretched is awful. The awful garbage of your teeming shore. Homeless, tempest-tossed means weathered by storms. Notice how it ends on the positive as well, the golden door. So there's this big system of positive and negative contrast in this poem that's going to be important for our theme too. A couple more things that I notice in this one. Personification. So notice, this is a big thing that changes in the volta, right? There's no personification, or very little personification, early on in this poem. I would suggest that the Colossus of Rhodes is not personified. We see conquering there as an adjective, but he's not moving, he's not doing anything, he's just there. But notice that there is personification about the Statue of Liberty, right? And we don't see a whole lot of that early on. We do see her mild eyes command, but then we get to the volta, and there's loads of personification to end this poem, because she speaks. Notice how we could maybe tie those two devices together, structure and personification, to get a really good thesis for this poem. We'll look at that in just a moment. Then lastly, alliteration. Now, two things to watch for with alliteration, and especially if you're doing a song, because hip-hop especially has a lot of alliteration. There are two things to watch for alliteration. One could be using the same exact sounds repeatedly throughout the poem or song. So if you notice your song has a lot of B's, ba, 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 that's probably intentional. Maybe that B sound is trying to imitate something. The other thing to watch for is just to see if your poet or artist uses alliteration in general. In this poem, there is not a system of alliteration. We see a couple of lines of alliteration, things like sea-washed and sunset. We got some S's there. My favorite one is worldwide welcome, 3 W's in a row right there, WWW, almost like the internet. This is written before the internet. But we see WWW right there, worldwide welcome. And there's a lot towards the end too. Wretched refuse, those R sounds in a row. Tempest tossed, another 2. Lift my lamp, 2 L's in a row right there. So in this poem, alliteration is not used the same throughout the poem, but it is used to perhaps to sound maybe heroic or brave. Hearing those lines out loud kind of brings out this heroic tone, right? Glows worldwide welcome. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. You've got some strong sounds right there. Used to, instead of saying sound, used to create strong tone. We might discuss that there. Whether that ends up in my thesis or not, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to make 2 thesis statements again, just like I did before, and I'll do one per theme right here. Let's start with opportunity is what makes America great. I might say something along the lines of, well, let's see, which of these devices discuss opportunity the most? I'm going to see if I can mix diction and alliteration in this one. We'll use more of a word-by-word study right here. I might say, Emma Lazarus. We'll do one sentence for this one. Emma Lazarus uses. Uses is kind of a plain verb. I'll say utilizes. Alliteration. Emma Lazarus utilizes a system of diction as well as alliteration to highlight the opportunity that makes America great. So notice right there, in our thesis, we are given a theme. Opportunity is what makes America great. We also have the how, which is the important part of literary analysis. So in my body paragraphs, I'll probably write 2 right here. One about the system of diction, especially about words regarding building and technology, how she uses that word choice to bring out that theme. And I'll write another one about alliteration, how that controls the poem's strong tone to highlight the greatness that is the opportunity that America gives. Another possible thesis right here, let's see if I can do one about compassion rather than strength as America's greatest virtue. One thing, I like that sentence a lot, so I'm actually going to do a 2-sentence thesis. And I'll just copy-paste that. I'll do a little bit of cheating here. Compassion rather than strength. Hey. Is America's greatest virtue. Emma Lazarus maybe captures. I like verbs. Emma Lazarus captures this idea through the structure of her sonnet. One thing that I might assume if I'm writing an introduction for these thesis statements is that I've already given the title of this poem. Otherwise, I would have to do that inside of the thesis right here. Notice that I've just discussed structure right here, so I could do this as one big body paragraph, or an idea, if I were to do the body paragraphs in this essay, I might do it piece by piece. Discuss the octet in one paragraph, the sextet in another body paragraph, or I might do the general structure of the essay in one body paragraph, talk about the octet and the sestet together. I'll do another paragraph about the volta, what is that shift from description to speech. That gives me kind of a clever way to include personification, either inside of that paragraph or in the next one as well. I could also potentially talk about the allusions there too, but by leaving it more open, by opening it up and just discussing the structure of the sonnet inside of the thesis, I give myself more options on the routes I can go inside of my essay itself.